Welcome into the Beat Sessions, your place for all things music. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. Let's talk about this new record from Manic Street Preachers entitled Critical Thinking. They released that on February 14th. This is studio album number 15 for the Welsh outfit and their follow-up to 2021's The Ultra Vivid Lament. And 40 years into their career, here we have a band that is making music with more vitality and more urgency and more relevance than maybe at any point in their career. This album is exceptional, and I'm really thrilled to talk about it and this band. I think most bands would give anything to just make it to this point, to even have the opportunity to make a 15th record, let alone make one that really sets a standard, sets a bar for why these guys are still together and why they've been able to make music that has an impact after all these years. And it's because they operate on a level that is just so authentically their own. These guys are not about fan service. They make art unapologetically with their own vision. And I love their exploration of internal darkness, the feelings of alienation that their music talks about, the anxiousness, the fear, all of these human emotions that can pick at us and tear us apart. I also love their reflections on the world around them. This is also a band that is well-versed politically and in social issues, and they're not afraid to put their foot down and comment on all of that stuff as well, too. So I love the balance, and I love the way that all of that, which captures the essence of the human spirit in so many ways, is distilled into an experience that conjures up feelings of hope. There's still this sense of optimism in the music, this sonic experience that really does bring some light into the darkness. And I think that that's the biggest contrast within their music that makes it so special and that makes it so engaging and captivating. These guys, talk about lived experience, have lived maybe one of the most awful scenarios that I can imagine, that I can even try to wrap my head around. It has been 30 years since Richie Edwards disappeared, their main lyricist and their rhythm guitarist, just gone. He was declared deceased in absentia in 2008. For legal purposes, it still makes sense, but deep down, I feel like James Dean Bradfield and Nicky Wire and Sean Moore, to some degree, still hold out hope. There's still a part of them that, continues to think that Richie is still out there, that he is still alive. And I think that in that scenario, it's all that you can do. And I think it really highlights one of the most difficult aspects of life is learning to cope with loss and learning to move forward, trying to find closure without answers. And this is definitely one of the toughest scenarios. But I think all of us at some point in our life are forced to do that. There's things that happen and we want answers, but oftentimes there isn't an explanation. It's just life and it just happens and you have to cope with it. And so I think that for 30 years now, the essence of their music has been really right at the center of that concept of realistically having to come to terms with what the probable outcome of a situation is, but also holding out hope. Because at the end of the day, it's really all we have. It's why we wake up in the morning. It's why we pursue the things that we pursue on a daily basis. We wake up every day with hopes and with expectations. And oftentimes those aren't met. Oftentimes it's a failure of our own. Oftentimes it's circumstances around us that are going to dictate this outcome, and there's nothing that we can do to control it. But you still have to hold out hope, because if you don't have that, then it's just pure negativity. It's just nihilism. It's just wandering through this existence without any aim, without any focus. And to each their own. If that's genuinely how you feel, I'd love to have a debate about it. But if that's genuinely how you feel, then that's entirely on you. I think for me personally anyway, waking up with a goal, waking up with the hope and expectation of achieving something is what life is all about, and it's what existing is all about. I think especially too, as we get older, life becomes more complicated and it becomes more bizarre, and I think that that's what makes the music that Manic Street Preachers are making right now so exceptional. These guys have all this lived experience based on top of this one incident too, and being in their mid 50s now and watching the world develop the way that it has, it's there's just more and more on a daily basis that you have to try to wrap your head around. Just when you think you have one thing figured out, the world dishes off another 10 problems at you. And these guys, I mean, it's in the title of the album, in the lead track, Critical Thinking, or the lack thereof out there in the world. But I love the way that these guys are really tackling a number of they're difficult subjects. They're subjects that require humanity to take a good, honest, hard look at itself and reevaluate if things like social media really work to our benefit, if things like a smartphone really work to our benefit, and the detriment that these things are bringing into our lives, how they're manipulating the human experience, and for some of us, how they're kind of ruining it. People ruin paintings. It's one of my favorite songs, one of my favorite song titles on this record, and I love the sentiment. And I think it's one that, while being rather misanthropic, it's also going to resonate with a number of people, because I think it's a perfect example of these guys taking a situation, taking subject matter, and writing about it in a way that's honest, that's blunt, but that's also framed within a beautiful sonic experience that brings some light into that negativity. This is I love the musical drive of this record. Post punk, 80s new wave, pop flair. I mean, all of the 80s bands that I really love and enjoy, I feel like, are coming into existence in this experience. But Manic Street Preachers are creating music based off these influences that, they're making music that is very much their own. This is a record that there's a lot of familiarity to it, but I feel like sonically they're just getting into some unique territory with the expansion of sound, with all the influences that they're playing with. And as I mentioned, you got the post punk, you got the new wave, you've got the 80s pop. There is a little bit of just funky disco flair at times. But I think of bands like Susie and the Banshees, Psychedelic Furs, Simple Minds, The Cure, Echo and the Bunnymen. I love the breezy guitar element that is working in a lot of the rhythm structure of these tracks. So just really thrilled with this record, excited about just this band still being out there and still making music that, again, it has this energy, that has this relevance. And I really love that, Nikki Wire, being the primary lyricist now, is trading off songwriting duties, lyrical duties with James Bradfield, but also got Nikki showing up and singing on a few songs, and not just a few songs, but he's got the bookend tracks, and he's also got Hiding in Plain Sight, which I think is a phenomenal track. And it's a track that evokes nostalgia. That's one of those songs. I'll read some of the lyrics here in a second, but that's one of those songs that you talk about, that brutal honesty of dissecting their own inner turmoil, and the nostalgia that's evoked in that song. This idea of wanting to get back to a time and place because you were a certain person that you just liked, I think, is something that resonates with all of us. I think all of us can think of a time and place where we were maybe at our best, and just wanting to not necessarily be in that time and place, but just be the person that you were in that time and place. And it's just these complex explorations that make their music so fascinating and so good. And again, just so authentically their own. There are very few album experiences out there like the Manic Street Preachers, I would argue. This thing opens up with the title track, Critical Thinking, soft bass drum, light chugging guitar that works in on this track, get a jaunty bass riff. Really liked that element there. The vocal, just I love the way that it asks that question with regards to critical thinking. The verse backs off into funky rhythm and a recitative vocal, just breezy electric guitars, and just pulling up some of these lyrics because, again, I think that they are quite phenomenal. This thing leads off, "What happened to your critical thinking? It's okay to not be okay." I love the way that these guys just kind of throw that back into the face of their listener a little bit. This whole idea of uh you know I guess the lived experience and the sort of, I don't know, softness that goes along with that. It's interesting that the way that they're working with that line, "It's okay to not be okay, live your best life, be kind, have some empathy, speak truth to power, it's your lived experience." Love that. Be your authentic self. Be fitter, be happier. Little Radiohead homage there. Speak your truth. As I enter this page, I feel we meet together, or maybe not. Maybe as we hurtle down the avalanche to the cul-de-sac of a nondescript nowhere land. There's an interesting balance. There's definitely a feeling of, honesty in this track, but also sarcasm as well, of the lack of ability that we all have to really be our authentic selves because of the lack of critical thinking out there. And this is caused by venturing into mediums such as social media, and the way that many people have chosen to communicate on those platforms. So I love that opening track. I think it says quite a bit in a fashion that is true to form for this outfit. Decline and Fall is your second track. Drum roll opens up this twinkly piano and bright synths. I love the bright nature of this track. Definitely rides big pop flair. Got this driving rhythm that's going to give the song some danceable energy to it. And again, I like, just dance your feelings away. I love that. Like, get it all out there, get it in the air under a composition that is going to, bring you joy and bring you ecstasy while you're able to just pour out all of your feelings. It really is a fun, unique way to approach songwriting, and for the listener to just take all of this in and to cope and to process. Brushstrokes of Reunion is your third track. Great song title there. Driving rhythm and drone-like synth capture this uplifting mood of mystery. I like the contrast there. Bright elements, other ambient synths that work in for this monastic effect, but it's really a very pretty song, and it's going to lead into Hiding in Plain Sight, your fourth track. This is another song where Nicky Wire is going to be singing on this one. He sang on the opener, Critical Thinking. Gentle electric riff. The vocals intermittent with acoustic rhythm guitar that builds in. Breezy mid-tempo track is ushered in with the introduction. And I love the solo work on this track, the organ element that works in. It's pull up some more of the lyrics here because I love the way that he writes here. The mirror is a trap that saves, or a debt that makes you pay. See you hiding in plain sight, and I want to be in love with the man I used to be. In a decade I felt free, and as I walked the soft parade, see you standing in the rain. Yes, I knew this thing would end. I did not know where or when. I love that. In talking about that idea of being back in that time and place, I really think that the lyrics there are very powerful, and the composition that they're a part of makes them even more effective, even more powerful with the way that they hit home. Really enjoy that song a lot. People Ruin Paintings is your fifth track. Bright and relaxing electric guitar open this track. Mellow and minimal percussion. Some tremolo guitar that works in the background. I really like that texture that kind of like drifts in and out. Chorus adopts a somewhat of a darker mood, and then you got a solo that's got that tremolo driven effect as well. Really am a fan of that. And some of the lyrics here, I want to read a few of these too because this is a fun song. Take the explorer out of the wilderness, take Van Gogh, leave us the sunflowers. People ruin paintings, faces spoil the view, people destroy the truth. I've looked into a million eyes. They all finish dead and destroyed. There really is this mythanthropic sense, this darkness that, just out of context, you read those lines and so dark and negative. But I think that, especially in the last 4 or 5 years with everything that all of us have been through, I just, the sentiment that's in this song that's at the core of it is, something that really hits home, I think, with me. And it's going to hit home with a ton of people. Just the inability for a lot of us to go out there and to try and enjoy life and the world, and the way that some ninny, some pain in the ass is usually out there to screw it up and to get in the way and to be selfish and to make it about them. So really enjoyed that track and that perspective there. Speaking of assholes, Dear Steven is your 6th song. This is about our good friend Morrissey. And I love the way that these guys throw the lines from "No, It's Over" right back into Morrissey's face. Breezy acoustic rhythm and electric lead to open this mid-tempo track. It's driven by new wave and pop stylings. This very much sounds like a Smith song, which is cool because I love Johnny Marr, and I musically have always really enjoyed what the Smiths bring to the table. I can't stand Morrissey. I've never really been a big fan of his voice and his kind of meandering lyrical style. And his aesthetic aside, we're getting to this day and age where I love this. You're still my bad habit, my dark little secret, my illicit unseen drug, my secret hidden love. Dear Steven, please come back to us. I believe in repentance and forgiveness. And I love that line. I really think that captures the essence of what this band is about, what this album is about. This idea of addressing grievances, of going to that place where I am unhappy. I am not pleased with what I'm seeing, with the way things are going down. But also being like, people are human and they make mistakes. And if you just apologized, I'd be willing to forgive you. But Morrissey just wants to do Morrissey. And I probably would have been much more brutal in this song. But I love this. They bring it back. It's so easy to hate. It takes guts to be kind. To paraphrase one of your heartbreak lines is how this song ends. And I really just enjoyed them checking him. There's just been so many antics in the last, especially 5 years, 10 years. And I thought that was a cool song, especially like we talk about it a lot on the channel, this idea of your heroes letting you down. They are just human. They do make mistakes, but it can be one of those things that, you grow up and you grow to listen to someone and their influence has such an impact on you. And then they go and do these things. And in a lot of ways, I feel like people will draw comparisons to these influential people that they've grown up listening to. And you shouldn't do that. I think that we all have a lot in common. And music is one of those things that bonds all of us. But, some of us are Morrisseys. Some of us are Stevens. We'll just put it like that. Your 7th song, Being Baptized. Twangy surf rock style riff to open. Great tone in the guitar there. It's a moody song, but I love the upbeat contrasts that work in, elements that are uplifting. But this song, as I said, it is ultimately dark. Big soaring synths, kind of taking on a gothic feel as far as that sonic exploration. My Brave Friend is your 8th song. Slightly grungy bass opens in the midst of bright vocals, piano and driving percussion that are going to work in on this track. You get light arpeggiated guitar with atmospheric synths that build in on it. Love the energy on that track. Out of Time Revival is your 9th song. Driving electric percussion, lots of toms and rim shots they're building. I really just kind of like the loose flow of the percussion. Light undulating synths create a bit of warm texture in the song behind the vocal. The hook is going to usher in breezy acoustic rhythm and bright synths as well, leading into your 10th track, Deleted Scenes. Love this, commenting on cancel culture. And this is an outfit that No. You will not cancel these guys. Breakbeat drums, shimmering synths, give way to breezy electric guitar. Really love the influence of jangle pop on this particular track, but I feel like it's an influence that you can feel in a lot of their work. I think that anytime their music hits that element of pop, that stride, I feel like the jangle pop influence really is at the core of that. And this is an outfit. I love pop music, but when it comes to rock and roll, when it comes to certain influences, you're walking a fine line, and I think that these guys just walk it so incredibly well. Within multiple narrative graphs, I am told I am a symbol of the past, and I love the way that they embrace it. It's almost defiant in the way that they say it. But wasn't I a king built to last before my castle walls quickly collapsed? The ecstasy of making things worse seems to have become a worldwide curse. This self-censorship made me weak, cornered by all this therapy speak. I prefer the mirror to the screen. It helps me understand the way I feel. I love that. Therapy speak. That was the term that I was trying to draw in the beginning with critical thinking, talking about the idea of it's okay to be okay. Yes, it is, but also this, banal therapy speak that we're just so inundated with is maddening at times, and I feel like a lot of people will use it as an excuse to just take the easy way out, to just write it, and that's where it can be frustrating when you see people manipulating things that are meant to be beneficial, that are meant to highlight awareness and to make things better, and they just use it for their own self-serving matters. It's really quite frustrating. Late Day Peaks is your 11th track. Big drums, subtle piano creates stage for just a wonderful vocal element. You get these ethereal guitars and synths that play in and out of the track, and it's going to lead into your final track, One Man Militia. I really enjoyed the lyrics on this song as well. You got Nikki taking up vocal duties on this thing as well. So bookending the record with critical thinking and with this track. I don't know what I am for, but I know what I am against is how this song starts off. Just no messing around. I really love the intro on that. I'm bored to death with myself. I'm sick of the narratives. I'm done with apologies. I'm sick of conspiracies. The truth is a dead disease. I can't breathe when I hate this much. I'm going to burn all my fucking flags. I sound like a dying cause. I won't listen anymore. Even our dreams are intellectual, like an ancient stone circle tightly bound to rigid dogma. Will they last or take us under? Even our screams are intravenous. I'm so ashamed of my self-censoring. Why do I feel old and vulnerable? This song is so intense, and I really just maybe one of the most powerful things that this band has ever done. And I love the way that they've chosen to close this fantastic record with such an intense number. You get this eerie drone, upbeat drums with the vocal, simple guitar that works in. Drum roll is going to usher in the rhythm, and this thing just rocks out with a lot of instrumentation that goes to work. I love just the synth play that's there, the different guitar work. Sonically, this album is something special. I mean, just the simplicity. I shouldn't say the simplicity. That's not the right word, but just the chord changes, the way that these songs progress. They're just so well put together, so engaging, so captivating, and the lyrics are going to compound that effect as well. There's so much on this record to draw you in and to keep you coming back and wanting more. And I'm excited for this band. They show no signs of going away, and this is just another chapter in what is a phenomenal story about these guys. I'm going to give this album an 8.3 out of 10. Really loving it, and certainly going to vinyl please this thing. I hope you guys enjoyed this record and find this review helpful. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, do all the things to help me blow this project up in 2025, and tune in to Classic Wax on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We will see you next time on the Beat Sessions.